here. Thank you for joining the video. I shouldn't sound like I'm excited to talk about this, but I'm really interested. My interest is piqued. I'm ready to jump into into another Carlos Watson video. And I feel some kind of way about saying that last name Watson because I think Watson and Crick, I don't know. But yeah, there's something that feels off about that. And that's just personally me. That's not anything on him. I want to take some time to go over his website. Now, for those of you who are new to what's going on, he started this multimedia company and had podcasts, newsletters, was doing something called OZY Fest, and there was a lot of hype. If you saw in one of my previous videos, they were out in Mountain View, California, which is where, the it companies are. That's where you want to be if you want to be an it company. And I guess that's where he wanted to be. But it's also where the investors go. It's where all of the people are in those rooms. And if you need to be in those rooms, if you need to raise money to grow your multimedia entertainment company empire, then that's where you want to be, right? You don't want to be in, and I don't want to say Podunk, Alabama, because that sounds wrong. But you know where you need to be. You need to be where the money is, where the action is, where the people are. And so that's what he did. Well, now the government is coming after him and saying, hey, dude, you committed wire fraud with your investors. And it feels very Elizabeth Holmes like to me. Like the same types of things that she did when she was, trying to say, yes, Theranos can do this. Yes, Theranos can do that. Partnering with Walgreens and leading them on about what the product can do. So I get the same sort of feeling with this, that he was leading investors on about what his products were doing and what he'd been able to do in this industry. But I want to go to this website. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I used to be on the mailing list, like back when it was the hip thing. It was all hyped up. I was following. I was like, oh, we got bro here trying to do some stuff. Let me get on board, see, get behind him. I like this. This looks good, It looks good. I received the emails. I still have some of them in my email box. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about his website because now he's changed his website from like this OZY media thing and about all the stuff that they were doing to him. It's all about him now and how you can support him. Here's the struggle he's going through. The government is coming after me. That's what we all say. We're going to say, I'm going to say it. I'm going to be like, the government is coming after me. The government is coming. Let's pull up this website so that we can see what's going on here. So I can show you some of what was going on. I want to give you a little bit on the about page. I want to show you the timeline because he's thrown all of this stuff in there. And then there's this interesting piece. I'm going to have to do a whole nother video on that because I was just like, wait, whoa, what is that? What is that? I cannot wait to dig into that. But for right now, let's check out his website. This OZY Media curated, but it's OZY.com. You can go to it and check it out. And so over here on the right side where you see this about this website, that's where I want to start. And I want to take a look at that. And I know it's really tiny, but I'm going to read it to you. It says OZY Media was past tense, was an innovative news and entertainment company focused on profiling, quote, the new and the next in politics, business, foreign and national affairs, technology, arts and culture, until it was forced to shut down after a New York Times story written by a journalist who, at the time the article was published, maintained a financial interest in OZY competitor BuzzFeed. Well, this newly curated version, we redid everything, of the OZY website is designed to showcase the important work that OZY did as OZY co-founder Carlos Watson defends himself in a legal battle involving how the company was operated. The website showcases a curated array of the important and compelling content that OZY Media published during its decade of stellar journalism. Y'all, I'm just going to keep that up. It says dismiss, but I'm just going to keep that up. All right. I want to go to, let me see how I can get there. Okay, so up here at the about at the top. Okay, this new and the next. And to be honest, I really and truly I liked it. I liked what it was doing, and I, yeah, and I get a lot of junk from a lot of media companies that are trying to do something similar. There are a lot of them out there, and some of them just like, nope, don't like, nope, don't like. There are very few that I say, okay, okay, I'm gonna watch. This was one of those. So I want to go down this about this timeline and this press highlights, because if you go back and take a look at this, you will see that it wasn't just me. Like, all of the it companies were behind him. People who were looking for this to actually succeed. So it says, and I just read you all of that. The new and the next. I mean, those are all topics that I like: politics, business, foreign and national affairs, technology, arts and culture. I'm that person. Like, this was perfect for me. This is once described as the love child of Vice and The Economist. So a little street and a little academic put together. Ozzy profiled rising stars, new trends, and big ideas before they were household names. It was like, hey, I'm just a regular person, and maybe I can learn a little bit about this too, because, I'm just down in North Carolina, right? So then you see here a little bit more about the history. Founded in 2012 by Carlos Watson and his family. Okay, so family, when you get your family behind you, everything I do has been supported by my family. Following his career at MSNBC, CNN, and BET. So he came with some credentials, because you don't get to go to Mountain View without credentials. Like, when you get your airline ticket and you got your luggage, there's no point in going and putting a company out there if you're not hauling the credentials with you. Ozzy started with top tier newsletters and eventually began to profile the new and the next across 14 premium television shows, 10 original podcasts, 4 world class festivals, 5 important awards programs, and 5 leading newsletters. Well, I think I got 2 of those. Like, you could sign, it's like the New York Times. You can sign for all these different newsletters, and then you cry when they come, because you're like, how can I get out of this? Ozzy won an Emmy in 2020, y'all. So they brought home the medal. Okay. So that gives you this sort of background of what the image was. This was like popular culture, but, not, it was wrapped up with a bow. It looked kind of good. Okay. Look at the partners who are listed down here. Media partners included BBC, Amazon, PBS, Hulu, OWN, Lifetime, A&E, History. These are some of the partners here. A unique and inclusive company, a son and grandson of teachers, Carlos Watson said he founded Ozzy because while the media landscape was littered with clickbait and polarization, and I will totally agree with him on that point, he believed a new global change generation wanted and needed a different kind of news and information platform. And I would agree with him on that also. It says, so my family and I leaned in to help build a unique and inclusive company with everything we had, foregoing almost all salary, investing our entire life savings, and giving up one lucrative job and acquisition offer after the next. As we grew rapidly, some media entrepreneurs and observers who were only motivated by money could not understand what we were building. Sort of like in the days of Amazon, right? Amazon's investors behind the scenes were like, dude, when are you going to make us some money? Like, you're in the red every single year. But those who watched our Emmy-winning TV series, Black Women Own the Conversation, or listened to our top 10 podcast, The Thread, or read our top-tier Daily Dose newsletter, knew we were committed to a larger, more inclusive, and more impactful vision. By profiling a young Amanda Gorman or Trevor Noah before the mainstream was ready to meet them, we wanted our diverse readers, viewers, and listeners not only to see more, but also to be more and do more. As a business, Ozzy welcomed more than 30 top-tier advertisers and leading media partners, including Hulu, Amazon, PBS, and the BBC. Over a decade, Ozzy hired nearly 1,000 people, both full-time and freelance, including nearly 90% women and people of color. As such, it was far and away one of the most intentionally diverse and inclusive companies in media and indeed in the US generally. I've had just throw the in there. From those who knew Ozzy best, dive into firsthand accounts from the individuals who've witnessed Ozzy's journey from the start, the staff, readers, viewers, and listeners who were integral to shaping what Ozzy was. All right, so they've got some, okay. One was like fifth and sixth grade teacher, Ozzy TV team, writer, Ozzy contributor. I mean, so at this point, it's going to be a little difficult to pull together like some big people because they're not sure they want to be attached to wire fraud. Then you have some comments from readers and viewers. Let's go to this timeline because I did like seeing that. So let's go back here to 2012, and you can see Carlos and family found Ozzy, a cutting-edge new media company. And you can see there it says Carlos moves back to California. So, maybe I'm being hard on him when I talk about Mountain View, California. People go back home. They go back home to California. And then they say, hey, what's close by? It wouldn't be like me saying, well, hey, I move away for a while and I come back and I'm near Research Triangle Park because I want to do something related to what we have out in the park. Same sort of deal, I guess, to some extent. So maybe I shouldn't beat him up over that one. Carlos moves back to California to take care of his ailing mother, Dr. Rose T. Watson, and with her help and encouragement, founds Ozzy. And so you see there the photo credit, mom plus dad building furniture. Strong early investors help Ozzy get off the ground. When you have 2012, Ozzy builds the most diverse team in media. From the very beginning, Carlos and Ozzy very intentionally built a broad and inclusive team. Over the next decade, Ozzy hired nearly 1,000. Okay, this is the same stuff I already read. But then it says the rich diversity is orders of magnitude better than almost every major mainstream media company and allows Ozzy to thrill and inform its readers, viewers, and listeners in broader and more cutting edge ways. Definitely. The more diverse your team, just think about it. You guys know this. I don't have to tell you this. You get different types of ideas when you have people who come to the table with different experiences. And it just adds more interest. And when you add more interest, then you have different people coming in going, hey, I want to check this out. Hey, I want to check that out. I don't have to tell you. 2013, OZY.com and OZY Premium newsletters launch. OZY launches its website and first daily newsletters with a commitment to profiling the new and the next. President Clinton makes the news on OZY. And then they've got a link there to a Washington Post article, and you see the picture there with President Clinton. And then you see Bill Gates becomes OZY's first guest editor. So, at this point, he's pulling in some big names, right? You start to see this taking place. And at that point, you can have the attention of people who may want to invest to help you grow and reach that magnitude that you have envisioned, but that you haven't quite been able to pull off because you don't have that money that you need to do it with, right? Well, here you go. Next up, what I say, here comes the money because you've gotten the right people behind you. 2013, smart investors back Ozzy. Leading investors celebrate Ozzy's strong global vision and content and provide Series A financing. So we're getting started. We're kicking things off now. 2014, Ozzy builds a unique global network of freelance reporters. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I got some stuff going on there. Ozzy built a powerful and diverse global freelance network that over the next few years employs more than 500 journalists across more than 100 countries. Think about the amount of money that it takes to pull that off. 2014, global media powerhouse Axel Springer backs Ozzy. All right, so now Ozzy secures Series B financing as leading global media powerhouse Axel Springer doubles down on Ozzy's bold vision and premium content. Then we have NPR, USA Today, and more partner with Ozzy. And so here's the thing. It's like a snowball coming down a mountain at this point. And pieces of snow just keep getting on. They're just like, the ball is rolling. And by just rolling down the hill now. These other things just are ready to attach. These other pieces of snow are ready to attach. That's what this is like. Other people are jumping on the board. They see a good thing and they're like, I want to be a part of that. And he's been proven now because look, we saw Bill Clinton, we saw Bill Gates, we saw the bills, and then we saw the real bills, the money bills, and we're like, we'll partner with them. He looks pretty good, okay? So it says here, OZY builds powerful content partnerships with NPR, USA Today, and others. Later partnerships include the FT, New York Times, iHeart, BBC, A&E, and Universe. OZY's smart, forward-looking reporting is coveted. What I tell you, people see that small snowball going, and they want to jump on the bandwagon. A lot of people usually wait. A lot of people wait because they want to see proof, like proof of concept. They want to see the the bona fides. Is this real? Is this going to work? And then they jump on. It says it's coveted across different channels, including digital, audio, TV, festivals, foundations, and more. OZY Genius Awards lunch. OZY debuts the OZY Genius Awards that present up to $10K to 10 top college students to pursue big ideas, including writing new books, doing innovative scientific research, build new companies, and launch nonprofits. So you have that there. Then you have 2016, OZY expands beyond digital to TV with the debut of its primetime series on PBS, The Contenders. The 16-episode series also airs globally on the BBC. Quite a strong start for a company that has never done TV. It says OZY will go on to build out a robust TV portfolio, including 14 premium TV shows for 9 networks, including Hulu, Amazon, A&E, and OWN. OZY's premium TV shows include Defining Moments on Hulu, Breaking Big on Amazon, Take on America on PBS, Tom from Her Arms on Lifetime, and Sneaker Fiends on YouTube. So at this point, let me stop for a second because I've talked about how because of the financing and because he was seeking investors, that this has very much an Elizabeth Holmes vibe to it. It's the financing piece. It's the, are you tricking investors piece, that piece. But the building the entertainment company piece has a feel to me like Revolt TV. Like this is what we're doing. And so I feel like I need to do a whole nother video that talks about it from that perspective. How are these alike? How are these two Black men on similar paths but different? Because even though you had Diddy with the music industry, and the music industry is still too coastal, even though we know where he is, he sort of stayed true to roots over here, while Carlos Watson stayed true to roots over here. And I think I definitely want to do a video that takes a look at that. So there's the Elizabeth Holmes kind of fraud feel to this, that vibe going on. But then there's the brother vibe is showing up in here just a little bit too. And I think I want to have a deeper conversation about that. Not so much on all of the sensationalist piece that people want to talk about and really focus on right now. And I get that. I'm not saying that that piece is not important, because it is. I did some videos when Cassie first filed her lawsuit and I was doing videos on that, and then the next thing there was a settlement, and there I was doing a video going, hey, wait, I thought I was going to be doing more videos on this, but they've settled. And I'm like, what am I supposed to talk about now, except for the fact that they settled really fast? Like, how? That left all of us going, but I'm going to go over that in another video. All right, let me keep scrolling here. 2016, OZY Fest debuts. Not only does OZY move into TV, but into festivals. And I saw that, that left me, that left me with the Billy McFarland vibe. Okay, because I get a whole vibe. Like this guy, I'm just going to put together a soup. I'm going to throw some Elizabeth Holmes type vibes in here, some Billy McFarland type vibes in here because I'm doing a festival, and I'm going to throw some Diddy vibes in here too. That's what literally is going on in my head here. There's a lot of this in here. Okay, so OZY Fest, when that popped up, I was like, okay, that looks kind of cool. Like it really did. some of the names that were going to be there, just the feel of it. Yeah. Not only does OZY move into TV, but into festivals as well, with the debut of New York City's Central Park of a new kind of music and ideas festival, OZY Fest. Now look at where he had that. Okay, look at it says that's where it debuted. It debuted on the East Coast. That's sort of interesting. I'm gonna have to go back and do a whole lot more research on this because it has been a while since I've looked at any of this. Described as Ted meets Coachella, over the years, OZY Fest features speakers like Malcolm Gladwell, Mark Cuban, and Hillary Clinton, musicians like Common, Her, Andra Day, John Legend, top tier chefs like, okay, so you see the list there. You got other people there, comedians, literary figures. I mean, you've got some top name people there. This is, I mean, these are people we've heard of, the names that we recognize. It says thousands enjoy the vibrant festivals in person and online. And in 2017, now President Joe Biden surprises everyone and invites himself to the party. Well, that one caught me off guard. OZY podcast debuts, The Thread. I remember this. While better funded media companies like BuzzFest remain stuck in digital only players, OZY further diversifies its offering by launching its fifth platform podcast. OZY's first podcast, The Thread, becomes an Apple Top 10 hit and ultimately wins millions of downloads across multiple seasons. Several OZY podcasts crack top 100 lists, including Flashback, The Food That Built America, and The Future of X. Then we have States of the Nation. Following a seismic presidential election, oh yeah, that it was, OZY commits to send dozens of curious reporters to each of the 50 states to understand the new and future normal. Looking at rising stars, new trends, and big ideas, OZY's year-long series helped a divided country and world get a better sense of what was happening on the ground throughout the U.S. The series was later submitted for consideration for a 2018 Pulitzer Prize. 2018, like I said, all this stuff follows. 2018 around the world. We're wondering how long this timeline is going to be. Did I tell you to get a snack beforehand? I should have. I should have gotten something to drink. I thought it'd be done by now. Around the World series debuts. OZY hires more than 100 freelance and full-time reporters to profile the new and next from every country in the world, leading to a dynamic year-long series with more than 500 profiles from nearly 200 countries. The series was later submitted for consideration for a 2019 Pulitzer. Then we have the global investors back OZY again. So we're back for an OZY Series C to invest in more reporting, original TV shows, premium podcasts, top-tier awards, and world-class festivals. And then you see down there the first shows and the future Emmy winner, Black Women Own the Conversation. And here that is. OZY partners with Oprah Winfrey and the Oprah Winfrey Network to debut a powerful new town hall show called Black Women Own the Conversation. From motherhood to economics, from relationships to faith, the series elevated the ideas, feelings, and insights of cutting-edge Black women, based on another original OZY series, Take on America. All right. 2019 BuzzFeed. Okay, this is where it gets interesting. BuzzFeed tries to buy OZY. So when you get to looking good to your competitors, and I don't mean looking good as in they like you. I mean, looking good as in they want to eat you. Struggling to maintain relevance, an ailing BuzzFeed tries to buy up and coming OZY, which has successfully diversified beyond digital in ways that BuzzFeed covets, wants to eat them. After board and investor discussions, OZY ultimately bets on itself and turns down BuzzFeed. Over the next few years, OZY increasingly beats BuzzFeed in head-to-head battles for key advertising deals and new media partnerships. 2020 Reset America. In the aftermath of George Floyd's murder, OZY commits to help reimagine what America's next chapter can and should look like, digging deep into questions about race, fairness, innovation, and the next century during a year-long series. 2020 2020 still. We're 4 years out. We're almost done. Navigating the pandemic. Okay, remember, we were all stuck in the house, okay? OZY joins the entire world in trying to make sense of the new reality. Without the ability to film some expected TV shows and podcasts or hold in-person OZY Fest, OZY creatively launches new remote programs to help our readers, viewers, and listeners see more, be more, and do more, including the Carlos Watson Show on YouTube. I remember, oh my gosh, I just remember all of this. I mean, this is so coming back to me. I feel like this was a part of my life. OZY wins an Emmy. This is 2020. OZY's breakthrough, the show, okay, gets an Emmy here. 2021, OZY signs more than 200 million in advertising deals. How about that? He pulled that off, right? We're wondering what what was going on behind the scenes, right? Like the Wizard of Oz, and you want to look behind the curtain. We see this money flowing, the people coming, the eyeballs, them being looked at in terms of to eat, buy, purchase. With a growing multi-platform offering, TV, podcasts, newsletters, awards, and festivals, OZY begins to win meaningful advertising partnerships, including more than 30 Fortune 500 companies, including Coke, Target, and Walmart. OZY also signs meaningful ad agency partnerships, including with WPP and who is that? Like, I don't know, what is that? Thanks to its diverse cutting-edge content, customer service, and audience, OZY begins to routinely win deals against former top competitors like Vice and BuzzFeed, as well as large players like the New York Times. 2021, Google offers to invest in OZY. See, once you have proven yourself, I had a conversation with one of my clients recently, and the conversation dealt with how, to some extent, you have to build yourself before they will come. You want to do a lot. I get it. You want to do a lot. You got a lot of dreams. I'm here for you. But for a lot of these companies, they want the proof first. They want to see you be successful before they help lift you up to the success that is really at a much higher level. And so you almost have to be good before you can get better. Okay. You can't, it's going to be hard to show up with nothing and expect for the big players to get behind you. For most people, that is not going to work unless you already have your own money, you already have your own name, like a family name, and so you don't even have to do anything because your family name is enough. Or, I don't know, I can't even think of anything else. Own money or your own name. 2021, there you have it. Google offers to invest in OZY. For the second time in the last few years, Google offers to invest in OZY, given the company's unique content, creative multi-platform approach, and forward-looking vision. Well, it makes sense to me. Google wants to invest in everything else or buy it, so I'm not surprised. Global investors back OZY again. Having turned down Google, OZY agrees to accept investment from other top early stage investors who also believe its premium content and forward-looking approach to news and entertainment. With this round, Carlos becomes perhaps the first Black entrepreneur and CEO in Silicon Valley history to raise more than 100 million. Not nearly as much as the 1 billion that competitors like BuzzFeed and Vice are able to raise with narrower businesses, but still meaningful given the racial realities of venture funding. And y'all, we're going to come back to that. Former competitor attacks OZY. Okay, now here's where it gets interesting. Former BuzzFeed editor Ben Smith, who had previously played a role in BuzzFeed's failed attempt to acquire OZY, writes an attack piece against the company that nearly drives it under. Smith is alleged to have still held shares in BuzzFeed, according to Slate. So let's read this, because this is in quotations and underlined. But Smith also has options to buy shares in a competitor of both his own employer and of every company he writes about. It's even possible that as other media companies get dinged, BuzzFeed's value rises. Okay, so back over in the legal department where they talk about conflicts of interest, maybe the counsel was out on vacation. I don't know. Remarkably and sadly, the New York Times still lets him write the piece and coordinate more negative coverage with his former colleagues at BuzzFeed and elsewhere. So there's something about, if there's no story to write, then there's no story to write. But if there's something there, then there's a story to write. And it may be that because of things going on in OZY, there was a story to write. 2021, OZY restarts. After the Ben Smith attack, most of OZY's team, investors, and partners depart. But OZY, and let me stop here for a second too. So the thing to do here is for me to take the timeline over here and then put up the complaint over here to be able to say, oh, so when did that CFO say she was going to resign because you were trying to do something that she said was a felony? Where does that line up with this timeline? Like, I think that's the interesting piece here. All right, but OZY does not go under. Carlos and a small team stick together, apologize for mistakes, I'm sorry, and pledge to learn and get better and get OZY going again. And let me stop here again too. So in the Silicon Valley world, we have heard this a lot, that not everybody gets punished for these types of things, that there have been other occasions where someone has started a company, and as they have gone out and sought money from investors, that they too have been very energetic in the numbers that they promoted to these investors, and that there is this imbalance in terms of who the Justice Department decides to go after and who the Justice Department decides not to go after, who gets frowned upon by the industry and who gets lifted up and then offered positions in other companies. And there are these people out there. Yes. And I don't have to tell you, just do some research there and you'll know one in particular that I'm talking about. So I don't want to say it's difficult, because some of what he did based on the allegations seemed pretty clear that they were on the wrong side of the line. Okay. But these other things about the puffery and the just sort of saying, hey, yeah, we're the best at what we do. We're number one here. Our audience is tops in the world. And we're looking at this number and that number. You know, that line starts to get fuzzy in terms of the puffery and the fraud. There's a line in there somewhere, and the allegations sort of show some instances where here was maybe the puffery and then here was maybe the fraud, and those are the allegations. So this sort of piece where we talk about, hey, they didn't go under, all these people left, and yeah, well, that's a whole, I don't know what you call it. But OZY does not go under. All right. It says it's not easy, but they eventually rebuild a network of 50 plus reporters, editors, producers, and videographers, and get OZY content flowing again, including new newsletters, TV shows, podcasts, and award programs. So if you're the person like just graduating from college and you go, oh, I remember when with OZY, and I hear they're looking to hire, would you have considered a position with OZY on the restart? Would you have said yes? Would you have been like, well, it depends on the money. It depends on where they're located. And did they really learn their lesson? And what really happened in the past? Let me go back and read that article and see if I really want to attach my name to that. 2022, 2 years from today now, OZY begins to regain momentum. It says with new content flowing again, including sneaker fields. You see all that. So now it wins back a variety of Fortune 500 advertisers, both direct and programmatically. 2022, legendary investor and OZY board chair Mike Moe pins important note: why I'm sticking with OZY. Y'all, I'm like tired at this point. Laying out why, despite mistakes. See, which mistakes are we talking about? He believes in the fundamental idea and importance of OZY. I do too. Sounded great. And the OZY team, and knows that second chances have been central to helping some of the best companies overcome much more dramatic challenges. Every great company has a near-death experience, including Apple, Netflix, Tesla, and more. And he's entirely right about that. And I should go back and pull that note up. I want to see the whole note. 2022, the Watson family helps OZY survive. Nothing like family coming together. Carlos, his sister Beverly, and several family members, as well as A few supportive partners help OZY meet payroll week in and week out despite great difficulty. Against all odds, the Watson family liquidates its remaining savings and borrows yet more money to keep a rare and special Black-owned media company alive. Like, you're feeling the weight of doing this for the Black people. 2023, OZY picks up steam and announces OZY Fest 2023. Now think of where we are now. 2023. This is now 2024, May. And so we're just a year and a half out. A year and a half out. OZY picks up steam and announces OZY Fest 2023. With COVID having ebbed and a strong new team in place, OZY announces plans for its first in-person OZY Fest in several years. Excitement grows and Fortune 500 companies and top agencies begin to inquire and sign on. 2023, 3 Brooklyn prosecutors target Black-owned and California-based OZY. See what I said? 2023, a year and a half out. 2023, here's where we are, right? 3 Brooklyn prosecutors target Black-owned and California-based OZY. So here's where we start to see the public display of things going wrong. Same thing with Elizabeth Holmes, things in the background going on for a while before it becomes public facing, at least to this extent. Like, you had the note that was penned, that was public facing, but not like this, not like a prosecution, right? In late February, 3 Brooklyn prosecutors, Jonathan Siegel, Jillian Kastner, and Dylan Stern, who have targeted Black and brown people 90% of the time in increasingly white Brooklyn, surprise indict Carlos and OZY despite neither being remotely based in Brooklyn or New York. Remember how I said taking your bags to Mountain View, California, where the playbook is a little different from Brooklyn? Or maybe it's not, because wasn't Elizabeth Holmes out there? Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at that. All of this happens while they ignore OZY competitors Vice and BuzzFeed. That almost feels like FTX there. The prosecution went to the other side of the country to find yet another Black person to prosecute. Okay, so I'll have to read that letter too. There's just a whole lot here. Of note, OZY's white competitors who they have not prosecuted despite questionable and even potentially criminal activity detailed in New York Magazine and Wired respectively. I told you, this line of puffery that goes on with both the public and with investors to some extent. And then there's the fuzziness. And here's, when you get too far from what is acceptable with puffery, then it starts to look like fraud. Of note, okay, talked about that. The indictments threatened to destroy young OZY, which was on the verge of a compelling comeback. 2023, iconic Harvard law professor asks U.S. Attorney General to intervene and stop racist prosecution. Harvard law professor Ron Sullivan, who has been credited with helping to overturn more wrongful convictions than perhaps any lawyer in history, agrees to represent Carlos and asks the U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland to look into the racial record of white Brooklyn prosecutors John Siegel, Jillian Kastner, and Dylan Stern. And I hope I'm pronouncing those names correctly. The 3 prosecutors have targeted Black and brown people with their indictments 90% of the time in increasingly white Brooklyn. Professor Sullivan also asked U.S. District Judge Eric Comedy to dismiss the charges. Entrepreneuring while Black cannot be a crime. Read more. I'm going to come back to all that. Carlos and team launch 2 Black for Business, which is what I was hinting at the very beginning. It's a whole nother website. I'm going to do a whole nother video because right now I've been talking too long and I need a break. 2 Black for Business launches with insights from distinguished Harvard law professor Ron Sullivan and others, shedding light on the systemic racial barriers faced by Black and brown entrepreneurs in business startups and funding endeavors. Then we have, same year, OZY Media Inc. versus Ben Smith, Semaphore Inc. and BuzzFeed Inc. At its core, this is an excerpt. This case is about defendant Ben Smith's willful misappropriation of OZY's trade secrets in knowing and direct violation of a mutual non-disclosure agreement to create, launch, operate, lure investors and advertisers to, and ultimately generate significant revenue for his own media company, Semaphore. But this case is much more. It is also about a total disregard for journalistic ethics and integrity, corporate greed and profiteering, large scale public deception, and the willful taking of another man's dream. Can't wait to read that whole thing. OZY Media sues rival Semaphore and accuses founder, I got stuff popping up on my screen, of stealing trade secrets when BuzzFeed explored a merger in 2019. This was in the Daily Mail. And then we've got OZY in the press. Okay. So that sort of gives us this timeline, a whole lot more than I really expected to go through there, but it's a lot that took 40 minutes. We're 40 minutes in on this. I am even more intrigued by this after reading through that timeline. I'm going to be going through the indictment and the paperwork for that. I already did the DOJ's press release on this. So start with that. If you come to this and you go, what in the world is she talking about? I'm going to be doing the deepest dive on this particular case on Live Nation and on Amazon. Those are the three cases I'm really going to be focusing on the next few months and taking a look at the complexities, the legal complexities, the cultural impacts, and then just having some discussions about what this really means, if anything, because a lot of times these things happen and nothing changes. Nothing changes. Right now, in terms of the Amazon Prime lawsuit, I believe there's a class action, and you guys know how that works, right? The class action, you fill out your form, and then you get a check for $20.83. Amazon changes a few things, and the world goes on just like it did 10 months before. So I don't know, but we're going to take a look at this. If this has given you way more information than you thought you even wanted to know, and you stuck around this long, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. Mwah.